Come, come, let's hear the moral story. Come, come, let's hear the moral story.
Hello there, and welcome. Are you ready for a wonderful story? Today we're going to dive into a classic fairy tale, one that's filled with magic, some very tricky promises, and a guessing game that is just so important. So let's get all cozy for the story of Rumpelstiltskin. Once upon a time, in a busy little kingdom, there lived a poor miller and his daughter. Now, this miller, he had a very, very big problem. You see, he liked to brag a lot. One day, he told the king, "Your Majesty, my daughter can spin straw into gold." Well, the daughter, she dropped her basket. "I can what?" But oh, the king's eyes turned all shiny, just like 2 gold coins. He said, "Is that so? Bring her to the castle." That night, the poor girl stood in a room that was piled high, high, high with straw. The king's voice was very stern. "If you do not spin this into gold by morning," he said, "you will be in big trouble." Oh my! With the king's threat hanging over her, everything seemed hopeless. And that leads us to the second part of our story, the tiny man's magic and a mysterious little visitor who changes everything. The girl burst into tears. "I can't even spin noodles properly," she cried. And then, suddenly, poof, a tiny little man just popped right into the room. He had funny little shoes, a pointy hat, and a grin that stretched from ear to ear. "Why are you crying?" he squeaked. "The king wants gold from straw," she sniffed. "Ooh," said the tiny man, and you can just imagine him rubbing his hands together. That's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then, whir, whiz, zing, and just like that, the straw turned into shining gold. The girl gasped. "You did it!" "Of course," he said, so proudly. "But I need payment." So she gave him her necklace. Well, the next night, the king was even greedier. "More gold!" he demanded. And again the girl cried. And again, poof, the tiny man appeared. "Crying again? You should charge rent for these tears," he joked. He spun more gold. And this time she gave him her ring. Twice, the mysterious man has saved her, but the king's greed just keeps growing. So on the third night, the stakes are raised to an unbelievable level, and this brings us to our third chapter, an impossible promise. On the third night, the king gave her the biggest room yet. "If you spin this," he said, "I will marry you." The girl groaned. "This is the worst fairy tale ever." Poof! The tiny man appeared again. "No necklace, no ring," he said, looking all around. "What will you give me now?" "I have nothing left," she cried. The tiny man leaned in close, and his voice was just a whisper. "Promise me your first baby." Her eyes widened. "My what?" But she was so scared. And so she agreed. And then, whir, whiz, zoom. Gold was everywhere. The king married her, time passed, and she became queen. So, the miller's daughter is now a queen, and for a little while everything is wonderful. But a promise is a promise, and it's time to pay the price. And this turns into a very high-stakes, 3-day guessing game. Then one day, poof, the tiny man returned. "Hello, your majesty," he giggled. "I'm here for the baby." The queen hugged her baby so tightly. "Please, please don't take my child." The tiny man tapped his chin, thinking, I do like games. If you can guess my name in 3 days, you can keep the baby." And he bounced away laughing. Day 1 arrived. "Is your name Bob?" she asked hopefully. "Nope," he cackled. "Tom, too normal." On day 2, she tried something a little different.
Is it Wiggly Pants? He snorted. I wish, but no. Oh dear, the queen was getting desperate. With only 1 day left and not a single correct guess, the queen's time was running out. But a last-minute report from a messenger reveals the one secret that could save her child. This is the moment we learn his secret name.
On the third night, a messenger rushed in, completely out of breath. "Your Majesty, I heard a tiny man dancing in the forest," he said. He was singing a very strange song.
Tonight I shout with glee, tomorrow the baby belongs to me. No one knows, not even the king, that my name is Rumpelstiltskin. The queen blinked, and then a slow smile spread across her face. That's quite a name. Armed with the secret name, the queen is finally ready for the final confrontation. This is the moment that leads to happily ever after. Poof! The tiny man appeared again. "Well," he said, looking so smug, "guess my name." The queen took a long, deep breath. She looked him right in the eye and said, "Is it Rumpelstiltskin?" Well, the tiny man's reaction was a complete and total meltdown. First, he just froze solid. Then, his little hat popped right up in surprise, and his eyes bulged out of his head. He screeched at the very top of his lungs, "How did you know that?" Then, he stomped his feet so hard the floor shook, and he spun around in furious circles, and finally, he turned as bright red as a tomato. And then, poof, he vanished completely into thin air. The queen hugged her baby close. "Note to self," she whispered, "never trust tiny men who love straw." And they all lived happily ever after, with absolutely no more spinning. The end.